For the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, we are live and amplified. So let's get ready to podcast.
Fire it up.
Welcome, everybody, to another live and amplified livecast. I'm your host, Tom Quiet, and we're back at it again with another amazing podcast. Today, we have a very special guest. We have Kel Adore. How's it going today, Kel?
Hey, Tom. I'm doing well. Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. I'm really excited. I felt really bad because I think I left you in you kind of got lost in our thread of podcast requests that we kind of have. And I think originally we were going to try and have you on from your last single release, and then just time got away from us. And I was like, oh, and then Anna put in another podcast request. I was like, all right, we'll get her this time. We'll make it happen.
You know, it happens. I'm glad we're here. You know, I'm excited about this next single too. So
Awesome.
it's good.
Like I said, I'm really excited to have you here. For anybody that's just kind of getting to meet you for the first time, what's kind of take an opportunity to introduce yourself and what's your background?
Yeah, totally. So I'm Kel Adore. I am a singer-songwriter, pop artist based in Los Angeles. And originally I'm from Denver, Colorado, though. So that's kind of where I got my start with music. I started writing music and really writing songs, like little, songs from a young age. And yeah, just grew up kind of performing at different little shows, especially with my sister. And then, once I kind of was trying to figure out what to do with my life and growing up and all of that fun stuff, I went and got a degree in economics and I started working in business. But after, some time, just music was calling to me and I was like, I've got to get back into this. So I decided to, more seriously write songs and release music. And I have 2 songs out. I have my 3rd single coming, which I'm sure we'll talk about. But I love really to share my music to just connect with people. And my goal, which, you let me know if I'm achieving it, is making music that helps kind of feed the soul, music that's helps kind of connect with people beyond just the entertainment value. I mean, of course, the entertainment value is fun, but really it's there to warm your heart. So that's me.
For sure. That's awesome. I've been to Denver once. I was like 17, so I don't really remember much of the trip to Denver, but yeah, it's that's awesome. At what point did you end up going out to California, moving out to LA?
I actually just hit my 1-year mark yesterday. Okay. So I know it's crazy. I was like, oh my gosh, how did it already hit a year? But I love it. It's good mixing it up. And I definitely don't miss the cold winters. Maybe there will come a day that I do, but right now I'm enjoying the mild weather.
You will not ever miss. I grew up in Chicago. And I haven't lived in Chicago in 10 years, and I do not miss the winters.
You're done.
I'm good. I'm actually trying to find ways to move even further south because the winters we get here in Waco, it's like, yeah, I'm kind of good on these ones too. I want to move further south. So
how cold does it get in Waco in the winter?
Well, we usually get one like big storm a year. Like, I mean, it doesn't get Denver cold or like Chicago cold, but it still gets pretty cold, I'd say. Okay. Yeah. But we get like one big snowstorm a year and it shuts down the city for a week. And
oh, man.
That's about it. So.
Well, we both escaped it. We escaped it, but, always will have a special place in my heart for the snowy winters.
Yep. And actually, we got one of the guys that I work with. I work for a TV station. He's actually moving to Denver on Friday. So.
Wow, it's a good place. I mean, I love Denver. There's so many amazing music venues out there, like Red Rocks. It's a good place. So,
for sure. So, kind of taking a step back into your music, who was like the first person to introduce you to the idea of playing music?
I think it was probably my voice coach / choir coach when I was in like 4th grade, because my sister and we were doing like elementary school choir, like all those little children's chorale stuff. And our choir teacher, we found out, offered voice lessons, and we were lucky enough to be able to do that. And, you know, with that came like the little recitals and the school talent shows and all of that. And so I think that was the first time we kind of got introduced. In fact, one of my like main core memories of performing is singing Wicked with my sister. What's the song? I have to remember it. Loathing unadulterated. What is that one?
I've never seen Wicked, so I don't know.
If you watched Wicked, you'll know what that song is. So I'm drawing a blank, but we performed that song, and we both wore these like dresses. She wore like a yellow one to be Glinda, and I think I wore a pink one just because I love pink, and that was it.
Yeah, I got you.
But it was good kind of exposure to performing because I had my sister next to me, and it was definitely memorable.
Yeah, for sure. And at this time, you were just like singing. You weren't really playing guitar or any instruments yet at this point?
Right. So I didn't start playing guitar till I was in high school, actually. And the first time I played with like a live band was with some friends in high school. They had like a little band, and we ended up crashing a couple songs at a dance where we kind of sang live, and it was a good time. So that ignited the fire, right?
Yeah, for sure. So when you started playing guitar at that point, were you still obviously you were still doing or bringing in covers and whatnot, but what kind of music were you playing at the time? Were you still doing more Broadway stuff, or what were you kind of playing at the time?
So at the time I kind of switched over to like country/pop. I grew up listening to like Shania Twain and just a lot of country stuff, but I also loved, you know, Hilary Duff and all of, you know, Cascada and all of that. So I kind of did a mixture of both, a lot of covers. I think I was a little too shy maybe to perform my own stuff, or just I didn't have the confidence yet to perform my own music. And also I'm such a perfectionist that I was like, oh, like it's not ready, you know?
Yeah.
So it wasn't until probably college that I started sharing some of my own stuff, originals.
Yeah, gotcha. And what was kind of the tipping point in college that you were like, okay, I'm ready to start sharing some of this original music?
You know, I think it was just step by step, and I was improving my songwriting skills. I think I had gotten to a point where I was like, oh, I have like a full song. If you're a songwriter and you know like how many songs you start but don't actually finish. So I think it was at the point where I started actually finishing songs that I was like, okay, I can do this.
Gotcha. And when did you kind of start? Were you always writing your own music from the moment you started like playing, or when did that kind of start to creep into your creative outlet?
Yeah, you know, I think like I said earlier, I just started writing from literally ever since I was a kid. So it was something I always kind of did for fun, like just the classic story, sitting in your bedroom. For a while, I would kind of mess around on the piano because I didn't know guitar yet, and took like a few piano like lessons for a few years, and then I quit, and I'm mad I quit. But so I would kind of pluck around on the piano or just like songs in my head. But I remember like as a kid laying in bed at night and just hearing symphonies almost in my head, and I was just like, I like want to capture that. How do you do that? So kind of fast forward, I actually started to learn how to produce myself, and was making some demos using like Splice, which is a tool online. You're smiling, so I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. But they were really bad. And I just realized my strength is in songwriting, not producing. I could spend tons of time getting good at it, but I just was like, I need to pivot. So started working with my current producer, which is when I finally felt like, okay, this is at the quality where I'm ready to release. And with those releases comes that confidence of performing, you know, the finished product.
Yeah, I got you. That was going to be my next question, was what was the tipping point for releasing music? Because it seems like there's a little bit of a gap from when you started writing your own music to releasing your own music. So
yeah, totally. And I like I said, kind of did some of my own production stuff. I did start working with other producers as well, where, you know, just collaborations here and there. I worked with the guy from Montreal who's really talented. But it wasn't until my current stuff that I felt like this is how I want to show up as an artist. This is how I want to, be seen and be heard. But also I felt like it was the quality that was ready for people to kind of consume. And I think there's many paths though, some people, they just throw something up on YouTube and it works.
Yeah.
I was never that person. I just was like, I want it to be exactly what I want. So
yeah. And how much did the pandemic kind of play into all this? Were you looking to start releasing before the pandemic? Or I can kind of tell by the laugh, there's a little bit of a story behind this. So,
oh my gosh. Yeah. The pandemic, I feel like everyone has a story about how it kind of changed their life. And I think I had been, pursuing the idea of music more seriously, but I just didn't really know how to get from point A to point B. And then I think really when the pandemic hit was when I was like, okay, this is what really fulfills me. This is what makes me happy. And I need to just go for it. So that was a pivotal moment of just kind of defining, was I going to do this as just a hobby and just something that was, a creative outlet, or was this something that I was going to really go for? So it was actually in 2020. It's funny, like sometimes you put things out into the universe and then they come back around. It was in 2020 that I was like, okay, I'm ready to level up. And I actually, my producer, someone from his team scouted me that year. And that's when we started kind of the discussions and, all of that. So.
And at this time, you're still living in Denver, right?
I was actually in Utah at that point.
Okay.
So I grew up in Denver. I lived in Utah for a little bit and then moved here. Yeah.
Gotcha. Whereabouts in Utah?
So like, I don't know if you've heard of Lehigh. It's like south of Salt Lake City. Yeah. So
before the pandemic, we used to go to Utah. We tried to go every other year because we didn't want to like oversaturate ourselves, but we used to go to Salt Lake City and then Provo, and every once in a while we'd go where the Park City. Yeah, Park City. That's the name of it.
Oh yeah. Oh man. Do you ski or snowboard or anything like that?
No, we would just go to Park City because it was like the place everybody said you had to go. So
yeah, I mean, there's so much to do up there, but I would say, growing up in Denver and also having lived in Utah I snowboard, and I will say like, I love snowboarding in Denver, but it's so much more accessible in Utah because it's like, you're right along the range. Whereas in Denver, you have to like shuttle in. But that was another thing, side note, I do remember like snowboarding growing up and just like singing. I would just sing while I went down the slope. But awesome. You should try it. You should try skiing or snowboarding sometime. It's nice. Good.
I will. Driving through Utah though, my favorite place is Moab. Like just every time we go through there, it's like I just want to spend the weekend here. Call my buddies from school, be like, "Yo, bring your dirt bikes, bring your everything." Ooh. And we're going to get in some trouble. Let's do this. And
it's a very inspiring place for those of you who may like go look up pictures if you're listening, because it's like the red arches and just like, it's stunning. It's so beautiful.
I there was a good 2 years where it's like, if I could move anywhere, I'd probably move to Moab. And then it was just kind of like, then I got introduced to Nashville and I was like, no, I think Nashville is probably the smarter play to make. So.
Yeah, I mean, everyone has to decide, depending on their life, but.
For sure. And so you were living in Lehigh in Utah. Were you recording in Utah or were you going out to LA to record?
I was flying out to LA. Okay. Yeah. So I was doing a lot of songwriting and a lot of sessions in Utah with other producers there. I was doing some virtual sessions with producers across wherever. Yeah. But yeah, I really like my final kind of project stuff was flying out to LA. So luckily it's not too far.
Gotcha. And did you go to school out in Utah, out in Lehigh?
Yes. Okay. Yes, I did. So yeah, it's crazy. People hear like, oh, wow, you have your degree in economics and all this stuff. And I even am like, yeah, why did I do that? But I graduated early from high school and college. So I think I was just kind of on that like traditional track of get things done, move on with, your career. And yeah, I think it's a good lesson for me to learn, or it was, of, listen to your gut.
Yeah, for
listen
sure.
listen to your gut. But also I think because I did that, it definitely set me up in a place where now I can do all of this stuff. And
Oh yeah.
that's something I'm really grateful for.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's interesting because I often talk to a lot of people that are indecisive about what they want to do, whether it's if they want to go into music or whatever it is, and they keep asking me if they should go to school and get that degree, and it's like, look, if you're this indecisive, like, because most of the time I'll talk to people that say they know 100% they want to be a musician, this is what they want to do. It's like, okay, bypass school, try music for 2 or 3 years, and guess what? You'll still only be 21 if music doesn't work out.
Totally. Yeah.
But if you're indecisive and you don't know if you don't know music's your thing or whatever, go to school, get your degree. You'll be out by the time you're 22, assuming you're not an idiot like I am, because I did not graduate college by the time I was 22, just putting that in the ethos. But still, you'll have that degree. And if you decide after school, okay, I want to give music a try, cool, go for it. So there's definitely
Yeah.
many trains
Well,
of thought.
even then, I will say, like, I think things are changing a lot, even with degrees. And I know a ton of people who, they took a long time to even
Yeah.
get their degree because, but I also think that it's just changing. So, you just gotta, everyone's got to figure it out. When you're 18, like, no one really knows who they are yet.
That is a fact. That is very much a fact. I 100% agree.
Yeah.
So about a year ago, you moved out to LA, and that's right around the same time that you started releasing music. Correct?
Yes.
It kind of all unfolded around the same time.
Yeah.
What kind of went into the thought process of starting to release your own music?
Yeah. So I think again, timing is everything. And for me, being out in LA, I was feeling very inspired. Just kind of the energy of being here, and just, I love change. I'm a person who craves change. And so I think that just kind of snowballed into me feeling like, okay, yeah, now's the right time. I had a lot of other projects and, still have a lot of other projects in the works. So it was like, okay, this is a good time to kind of pilot my first single. I have a bunch of other stuff in the works. And now, I released Happy Again earlier this summer, and I'm about to release Still a Child. I have even more music on the way. So it just kind of, timing just worked out in that way. Yeah,
for sure. So I want to talk about Fool for the Pain really quick, because that was your first single, and then
yes.
we'll jump into Child Again, which is your upcoming single.
Yes.
Yep, that's why did you choose Fool for the Pain to be kind of your first statement as a musician?
I think it was when I first heard the cut that my producer sent me after, like, we had been writing sessions, and he sent me, I listened to it in my car, and I was just like, wow, this is exactly what I want it to be. And that song's cool because it kind of explores, like, the duality that we all have in ourselves and just in life in general. And it's kind of about, some of my own, toxic history I've had in relationships with different people. It's also about, family members and books I've read. No one song is related to one specific thing. Every line has, like, a different influence, but I think it was kind of like this song that had been in me for years that I just needed to get out. Yeah. And some of my first music is a lot of that, just like, this is what I need to say and get out. And Fool for the Pain really was just kind of exploring that topic that had been weighing on my heart.
Yeah, for sure. It's a really good song. I had a chance to listen to it along with everything else that was kind of sent to me, and I really enjoyed the song. So I definitely wanted to touch on that one, especially with it being the first single. And it's always kind of interesting to listen to why musicians, especially when they're still really young in their career, as far as like the amount of music they release and whatnot, why they choose the certain songs that they choose. So that's
well, and another thing, thank you so much. But another thing that's kind of fun about that song, it's kind of a dark gothic pop sound.
Yep.
And when people meet me, I'm very bubbly, and they're like, wait, what? You know, that was you. So I liked that it was kind of surprising and setting the tone of like, hey, this is me. I'm Kellador. I'm, you know, there's more than meets the eye, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. And so then kind of fast forwarding here into 2022, you've already got a single out that you released earlier this summer, and you've got a new single coming out here in exactly 10 days.
Yes.
Still a Child. I'm very interested by all the visual elements that you have out, like all the photos that I was sent, and then the actually getting a chance to listen to the song, seeing the on the YouTube link thing that I was sent, the like the visual,
the artwork. Yeah.
the artwork. There you go. That's what's for everybody that's going to go listen to it, what's kind of the story behind Still a Child?
So this song is so special to me. It really is very nostalgic. And I actually was inspired because I was going through my email and I found this video literally that my sister sent of me on like the photo booth Mac app. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
And I was like singing into the camera and just like so cool. And I just thought I was like wearing my PJs and I had braids all in my hair. And I just like, I felt like I was a star, but also underneath the surface, as I'm watching this, I could see like how insecure I was as this young girl, like trying to be cool, but not being totally sure of herself yet.
Yeah.
And it just like inspired this kind of idea that like, I'm still that little girl in so many ways, and that who we are is always inside of us. And as I brought this concept to my producer and co-writer, we were kind of talking about like just this idea of the journey of finding yourself is a journey of returning to yourself. And as much as, you know, I even mentioned earlier in this podcast, like when you're 18, you don't really know who you are, but like, I do feel like it's crazy how you can look at a kid and be like, that is who they are. Like unapologetically, they come with this personality just imbued in them. And it's amazing. So anyway, this song was inspired by that moment of being like, whoa, that's kind of who I am, but also reflecting on just how life hits you. And, you know, when you're an adult and you're figuring things out and you're growing up, it's like, sometimes we don't, or at least for me, you know, we don't feel equipped to address these things. And so the song is called Still a Child, and it's like just that, I'm still a child.
Yes. Very, very self-aware song. That's, you know, it's like I said, I'd gotten a chance to listen to it and I really enjoyed it. And I had an opportunity to actually go back and like listen to what was being said. And I 100% agree. Like that's everything that I took away from it. For this single, how long have you been sitting on this song, or how long has it been kind of percolating in your brain as far as like actually writing it and producing it? And stuff?
Yeah, I would say the idea, I want to say it sparked maybe January or February of this year. It's funny because I have other songs done that I haven't released yet, but once I had this song idea, I was like, this is the next release. Okay. And so I love, you know, the future releases will be great as well, but this kind of came to fruition pretty quickly, where I had the idea in maybe February, was finishing up some other projects, and then we started working on it. And I think maybe finish it within 2 months, which is quick in the industry. And then sent it off to mixing and everything. And so, yeah, it's a really cool song. And I've actually been able to play it live a few times. I just played it at the Water Lantern Festival in LA. I am posting a vlog on my YouTube channel, so keep an eye out for that. But it's fun to play it live too, because it's very much like connecting with my inner child and kind of encouraging the listener to like reflect and think about like who they really are too, you know?
Yeah, 100%. It's like, you know, my interviewing style or something. I was gonna ask, how often do you get or how often do you like to road test your music before you release it? Is it something that you obviously like releasing your music during the pandemic? It, you know, kind of throws a bump in the roads, but as far as like moving forward, do you want to see yourself like playing music out live before you release it, or where do you kind of sit in that realm of things?
Yeah, I think I'm definitely in that camp of like playing it live, just seeing how it goes, like it's always good to get a sense for like how the audience is receiving it. And that's something too, you know, the more I have played live, I think about how is a song that I'm writing going to be live, because like Fool for the Pain, I don't think it's the best live song because it's not a message people are like ready to shout, but Still a Child is like something everyone can shout, you know? So I think it's, you know, every song serves a different purpose and that's okay. But yeah, I definitely love to just play anything. So if anyone ever comes to my shows, like you'll probably get spoilers.
Nice. That's awesome. And that's a really interesting perspective that you had about playing a song that's getting ready, or like a new song, playing it out live and applying it to the next song. I've never really heard anybody doing that. Usually it's the reverse, where they go play a song out and let it just kind of naturally mature itself. So if like in your head it's, oh, this song's an upbeat high energy number, but then the crowd starts reacting to it differently and you just kind of naturally chill it out. I call it the That Thing You Do effect.
Oh,
have you ever seen that movie or the play where so it's that was an interesting thing that I took away from that movie. But you know, just there is a lot of merit there. Just like they go in with one idea for a song and then they go out and play it and it's like, no, this is a up tempo number. So
yeah, and I think for me too, you know, one of my goals as a songwriter and as an artist is like I always want to be topping myself. Like I want to be, what is the next song going to do just personally for me? How am I going to push myself and challenge myself? And I want every single song to be better than the last. And so I think that's a good goal too, like just in general for artists in today's day and age where it's so easy to get sucked into comparison or whatever. And just like always looking and striving for that improvement of your art and of your craft. So
for sure. For sure. So Still a Child, you've got a lot of artwork out for it, a lot of photos and a lot of visual elements for it. Are you working on a music video for this, or where are you kind of at in that camp?
Yeah, so I actually was talking to a friend who works at WME, which is one of the largest, if not the largest, talent booking agency in the world. So for those of you who don't know, they book like tours for comedians and athletes and musicians and authors. He was saying, and like I was planning on doing these music videos, but after talking to him, he kind of changed my mind because he was saying he's in some meetings with people who are saying independent artists are investing a little too much too soon in music videos. And he's like, the days of MTV are gone. And so while I do think some songs could earn a music video where maybe it explodes and it gets enough traction where it's like, oh yeah, people are going to watch this, then go for it. But he was saying now they're kind of seeing a lot of independent artists focusing on these like short visualizers that are artistic and cool and obviously designed for social media, vertical videos. So I actually just filmed one last month for Happy Again. So I'll be pushing those out soon. It's still kind of in post-production. And then for Still a Child, we're in kind of the development stage. I think we'll be filming this month some really cool visuals that go along with kind of the concept and still have some form of that narrative storytelling, but are a little bit more consumable. Especially again, you know, this is my third single. I'm still kind of establishing my brand presence. And so it's fun to find ways to do that are cost effective, but also very creative and still showcasing your art and complementing the song with those visuals.
Yeah, for sure. And I think to kind of piggyback off of that, I think I've seen a lot of musicians kind of focusing more on doing like the live performance videos, like doing, whether they're like on album or on Spotify, their music is a bit more produced and, you know, like that. I see a lot of musicians taking a step back and doing more stripped back acoustic versions. And that stuff definitely works. But it's interesting that you brought up the whole thing about the music video, because, you know, it makes a lot of sense. Like MTV's not here. Like, yes, YouTube is still a thing, but
Yeah.
to get found on YouTube is still not an easy feat unless you're like already well established. So
Right. And that was another thing we were talking about. Like, you know, obviously Beyonce can do whatever she wants because she has the audience and the eyes and the fans already. And yeah, it's just a different world we're living in. But I do also think it probably depends on your genre. You know, I was talking to another producer of mine about kind of this idea, and he does a lot of hip hop and rap. And he's kind of in that world. And he was like, no, like he didn't agree with me. And I was like, yeah, well, I guess, you know, different genres might have a different approach, but you just got to find what works for you, you know?
yeah, absolutely. So you got your third single dropping, and you mentioned that you have more music on the way. Are you kind of following this new pattern of musicians where like singles are kind of where the bread and butter is, or do you see yourself working towards an album? Where are you kind of there?
So currently I'm working towards an EP, but you're exactly right. You know, I think in today's day and age, to just kind of keep momentum going, I think, you know, for me, it makes sense to be dropping songs as singles and then kind of eventually wrapping them up into an EP. I would love to do an album. I have so many concepts and ideas for albums, so I'm not opposed to that. But I think for right now, I'm just kind of exploring my sound and exploring, you know, what kind of artistry I want to present. And so yeah, singles it is for now, and we'll kind of wrap those up into EPs as we go. But it's crazy how streaming has just changed the game.
Yeah, and I mean, it's still like streaming is cool and the singles work, and it was definitely a thing that really panned out during the pandemic because nobody could get out and play live. But I think, especially with the younger, even with the younger musicians, CDs are still that benchmark. They're like that career benchmark where it's like, I'm a musician, I want to release an album, because that's still a benchmark that a lot of musicians want to hit. Now, in 10 years, is it going to be a benchmark? Maybe not. I don't know. But, you know, it's one of those things where you just never know. Because
and I think it too just depends on, you know, timing. Back to that same thing. I'm sounding like a broken record here, but you know, getting myself established, my goal right now is like, I want to just put stuff out so people can get to know me. And at some point though, it'll be like, okay, I'm ready for that next step, which will be the album.
Yeah, for sure. So kind of moving forward, I know you've got a fundraising event coming up this month as well. I definitely want to talk about that. We'll get to that here in a second. But as far as more, you got the new single dropping August 12th. Have you kind of already started planning out the rest of the year, or do you just kind of want to get to August 12th and then you'll figure out the rest?
Oh, I have plans. I have plans. Yeah, it's crazy how long it honestly takes sometimes to get everything in place, to have enough runway for the promo and just all of that. So there will be more coming, but yeah, right now I'm focused on Still a Child. I'm focused on live shows, and I'm also focused on this Feed the Soul virtual charity tour. So thank you for bringing it up. It's cool. Back to what I was saying earlier about my mission. My mission really is to kind of feed the soul. And if you think about like a dinner party, some people have people over to entertain and to be a good host, and they just want to like entertain people. But for me, like, I want to put food in your belly. And so I'm doing this Feed the Soul charity tour with a lot of different charities and organizations that help address the hunger crisis in the United States. It's crazy because like we grew up watching these little ads and promos about hunger in other countries. And it's like, this stuff is happening in our own country. And me living in Los Angeles now, like I see it every day, like right outside of where I live. There's just such a stark contrast. So on August 23rd, I'm doing an event with No Kid Hungry. I'm really excited. They specifically address child hunger in America. And yeah, I'll be playing some songs and just talking about the cause, and hopefully get some people to contribute and help out with the cause.
For sure. And you said it's virtual 100. It'll be on.
Yes.
Where will you be streaming? Will it be Twitch, YouTube?
So it will be on my Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah. And so we will be streaming there. It's at Kellador Music. If you want to go find me and make sure that you're available, I'll share more of my stories about it and on my feed. But yeah. I need to get on the Twitch game. I mean, you guys are killing it with the Twitch game.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, we're still young as far as Twitch goes, and like musicians are definitely doing really big things here. But the podcasting side of things, it's a little different. I kind of straddle two different worlds, and it's like trying really hard, but
no, that's good though. I mean, you've got to diversify the media, you've got to have all of the platforms.
Yeah, for sure. No, and it's really cool. Like when I first saw that you were doing a virtual fundraiser, like essentially a virtual food drive, which is really cool. I definitely wanted to talk about that because I think more philanthropy in music is much needed, just kind of musicians doing what they love for a cause that they really support is the best thing musicians can do at this point,
Oh, I mean, yeah, like music it brings so much connection and inspiration, and I think it can just bring us together in our humanity. And so sometimes it's like maybe there's someone sitting and listening to their headphones and they feel like, oh, okay, like I'm not alone, but it's like, hey, well, what are we going to do about it? Let's get some action behind it. So yeah, thank you so much. I'm excited.
Yeah, for sure. It sounds like a good time. I'm going to have to check it out. I'm pretty sure I'm already following you on Instagram, but I tend to be really bad when I'm posting like the promo for this. I'll tag them and then it's like, oh, I probably should just follow them at that moment. But usually it's after the podcast where it's like, I go back and follow them.
Oh, you're fine. You're totally fine.
But that's really cool. It's, I'm always down to support a good cause. And as far as, I know you kind of mentioned that you remember growing up seeing the commercials for supporting kids in other countries that were starving and, all that stuff. Was that the main driver why you decided to do essentially a food drive, or did you have like a more personal tie?
I do have some personal ties with, I actually have a family member who is homeless. And so I think just kind of seeing firsthand some of those things, and it's more of a distant relative, but it's, when somebody who has been through that, it makes it a lot more real. And then, just also, I think moving to Los Angeles where you see it, and I think, like there's been a lot of stuff going on in the country and in the world. And I think people are kind of noticing some of these disparities, and I've been very involved in like diversity and inclusion initiatives in the past. And I think it's like a basic human right to be able to like have food and water. And it's just, I think it's something that when you see it every day, it's like, okay, let's do something. And this is one where like there are solutions, like No Kid Hungry, they have solutions to these problems. So it's like a really easy way to get involved because we know how to address it.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And before we kind of move on to the next topic, when is the fundraiser again for everybody out there listening?
August 23rd, 6 p.m. Pacific time. Check out Kellador Music, and I'm excited to just have fun and say hi to everyone and raise some money for No Kid Hungry.
Awesome. That's really cool. Ed, before sorry, I meant to ask this earlier. Are you working with any other musicians for this, or is it just you going?
Right now, it's just me. I would love to eventually scale it up and work with some other people. So if you're listening and you are interested, you can send me a DM. But yeah, right now it's just me.
Awesome. Gotcha. Perfect. So you got the new single coming out August 12th. You got the virtual fundraiser. You've obviously dedicated a lot of time to music and, just works. I'm going to call it work stuff for lack of better terms.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
when you need to step back and take a moment for yourself, what are some hobbies that you have? What do you do outside of music?
I am such a dog person. So a lot of the time it consists going to the beach or going to the dog park or going on a hike with my dog and with my husband. And we just get out and, roam around. And I'm becoming a big foodie because in Los Angeles, there's so many options and so many like authentic cuisine. So, I would say eating good food, getting out in the sun, running around with my dog. Lately, I've been really into puzzles. Like, that sounds so lame, but I have been getting so into puzzles lately. Like, we got this puzzle that, we've got a couple, and like, I'm not kidding you, stay up till like 2 a.m. because I cannot stop puzzling. And I'm like, this is a problem.
Hey, it keeps your brain fresh. It keeps your mind fresh and active.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It kind of keeps the, I listen to way too many podcasts talking about how people kind of fall into routines. And that's kind of what sparks like Alzheimer's and all these like mental disorders and stuff. So like kind of falling into these routines.
Interesting.
When you go to work, you take the same way every day. And then every Saturday you go to the grocery store at 7.
Oh, yeah.
And so just kind of shaking it up kind of keeps your brain from atrophying, essentially.
Wow. Okay. Well, now I'm not going to feel lame about it. Yeah, I'm keeping my brain sharp.
Keep doing it. That's ultimately why I started doing Wordle. I just kept hearing everybody saying like, oh, Wordle this, Wordle that. And I'm like,
yeah.
Okay. And I played it one day and I was like, oh, this is interesting. And
I'm so bad at Wordle. Oh my gosh. Have you tried Dordle or Quordle, or they have all the like other multiple ones? Have you tried those?
Seen them, but I've not actually done anything with them. Like I've not. Okay. Yeah. It's like everybody keeps asking me, oh, you're into music. Have you played Hurdle yet? And I'm like, I have a feeling that's just going to make me look stupid because I'm like, I have an idea. It's like they play a second of a song and then I got to try and guess what song it is. No.
Oh my gosh. It's like a game show.
Yeah, it is.
But yeah, keeping your brain sharp, Nice.
And
all these little things.
Of course, you mentioned that you like to snowboard and that's definitely the Denver side of things.
Yes.
There's not much snowboarding in Southern California, right? You got to go.
No. So I actually did just go to Big Bear Lake, which is only 2 hours away from me. And I think they have like some skiing. I'm doing air quotes for people who can't see the video. Because, when you're coming from the Rocky Mountains, like some of these places in Southern California are like, well, that's like a bunny hill, but we'll take it. Yeah. So in theory, you could go surfing and skiing in the same day in California. But you'd have to drive. And I think like Tahoe probably has better skiing, but I've never been up there for skiing. I've been up there for summertime boating activities, but outdoor stuff is fun. And I'm like a beach girl at heart. Like as much as I love the mountains, I also did live in Florida for a little bit. Yeah. And all my family's originally from Florida. So like the beach is just my happy place.
Now, also having spent several years in Florida, where in Florida did you live?
So New Smyrna Beach is, do you know where that is? It's like south of Daytona. Yeah. So all my family is originally from like Sanford, Daytona. I have family all over kind of central, like Orlando. Yeah. But yeah, New Smyrna Beach was where I lived. So
awesome. I lived in Orlando for 6 months. I interned for Disney when I was in college. So I lived in Orlando for 6 months. And then my parents, they live in South Florida. Well, they keep calling it South Florida, but it's like it's West Palm Beach. So how South Florida
Okay.
is that
Okay.
really?
Yeah.
And so I stayed with them for a few months on and off, like right after college. And then I lived in Tallahassee for 2 years.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so cool. Are you an FSU fan then?
Yeah, like I don't watch a lot of college sports, but when I do, it's usually FSU. So
Okay. See, I'm a big Gator fan. So,
that's all right.
we might.
That's all right. I don't know. It's funny because everybody, like, so I went to Southern Illinois University. That's so I'm a Saluki, but it's like until we had the ESPN app, I could never watch any Saluki sports. So it's just kind of like,
yeah.
okay,
By default, you're like, oh, yeah. My mom, she was the captain of the Gatorettes. So she twirled fire batons on the football field at the swamp. So I was just like forced to be a Gator fan, but it's so fun to go to games down south. And that's so cool. You lived in Florida too for a little bit. I was actually just there last week. I was in like just outside of Destin with my family. So
that's really cool. Yeah.
It's a good place.
It's one of those things. I'm not a fan of Tallahassee whatsoever. Tallahassee is probably
not a lot there.
It's probably the worst part of Florida. But if I could, I'd go south. Like if I could live in like Tampa or somewhere in that area, I'd be down with that. So
yeah, I've heard Tampa is growing a lot and like becoming a really cool kind of hub. So yeah,
especially for music, they've got all kinds of cool stuff going on there. So
oh, fun! That's awesome.
But before we kind of wrap this thing up, we have a fun little game that we play with everybody that comes on the podcast.
Ooh.
This is called Rapid Fire Randomness. So I have a random question generator sitting in front of me. It asks all sorts of questions from funny to insightful to deep to, whatever it is. So if you're ready, I'm going to fire off 10 random questions at you and you just answer them as quickly as you can.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Am I doing like a one word thing or am I just like
no, just whatever comes to mind?
Okay.
Like I lay out all these rules, but I really don't enforce them by any means necessary.
I'm getting nervous.
So I'm going to just ask you 10 random questions and we're going to go from there.
Great. Okay, let's do it.
What is a life lesson that you learned from your mother that changes your perspective on life?
Ooh. To make friends, get people talking about themselves. That's the best advice. I mean, she's given me so much good advice, but I would say that, yeah.
What is your life's slogan or tagline?
Don't believe in your own legend.
If you could watch back your dreams, but it had to be in front of your entire family, would you do it?
Yeah, I would. But my dreams are insane. My dreams are so weird. I could go on about it, but I'm not going to waste your time.
No, it's okay. I mean, I think everybody's dreams are weird, to be fair.
Fair. You're right.
If you could have anything come out of a piñata for your birthday, what would you pick?
Goldfish and chocolate.
I was going to ask you to clarify like actual goldfish or like the crackers, but then you added on the chocolate and I was like, okay.
If you eat those together, like not at the same time, but like have goldfish and then have chocolate.
Yeah.
Your life will be changed.
What is a kid's movie that still scares you to this day?
Okay, I don't know if this is a kid's movie and it's pretty recent, but have you seen The House on Netflix?
Is it the animated? No, I'm thinking of
yeah. It's okay. It's so scary. I can't watch the first thing. There's like 3 different stories.
Yeah.
I cannot watch the first one. And it's kind of like Fantastic Mr. Fox style. It's like stop motion puppets.
Okay, gotcha.
I literally have to like let out a scream when I see that playing because it's terrifying. And I don't know if it is made for kids, but that's the first thought that came to my head.
That's fair. Who is the most emotionally and wait a minute, what the hell is that? Who is the most emotionally healthy person that you know?
Oh, my therapist. I was gonna say maybe my mom, probably my mom, but then I'm like my therapist. but
Right.
that's her job.
What is the best way you could draw a crowd?
Ooh,
And
I mean, I gotta say singing. Like, I gotta say that, like playing a killer show.
cool. What is your favorite sports movie?
Oh, ooh. All I can think of is the Mighty Ducks, but that's not my favorite. Maybe The Blind Side.
Okay. I thought you were going to say Johnny Tsunami for some reason.
Do I look like a Johnny Tsunami fan? I'm like,
Well,
I think I did watch that.
It's one of those things when you said you could surf or snowboard in California on the same day. I was like,
Maybe I should. I need to watch it. It's been years. I'll go watch that.
oh man, I don't know why that popped into my head.
Johnny Tsunami. That's a classic.
It's not even like a sports movie. I don't know, whatever.
I mean, I think it could be considered, but this is the random game, so it's fine.
Yeah. Would you rather be stuck in a library and have the ability to speed read, or stuck in a casino and only have $10,000 to play for the rest of your life?
A library for sure.
Okay. Caffeine is now an illegal drug. How screwed are you?
I honestly drink a lot of soda, but I feel like I could get caffeine-free soda, so probably not too screwed.
Okay. What do you think about in bed before you fall asleep?
My music career. I literally just lie awake thinking about all the things I have to do because it is so much work to be an artist, but it's great. And I'm so lucky I get to.
For sure. And we're going to ask two more questions because I accidentally flipped forward and I saw the next one, and I'm going to ask the next one as well.
You're good.
What movie has inspired you the most?
I really love Shawshank Redemption. I mean, that's like the #1 movie of all time that's listed on IMDb, but it's also for a reason. Like, it's a powerful story.
For sure. And then you have to choose Chipotle or Chick-fil-A.
Oh, Chick-fil-A. Chipotle is good, but Chick-fil-A, I literally will eat multiple times a week if I could.
Fair.
And I also keep the Chick-fil-A packets in my refrigerator at home. And anytime I make like potatoes or like anything that I could dip it, I will use chicken. If I like grilled chicken at home, I will use Chick-fil-A packets for the sauce.
The way a lot of people feel about Chick-fil-A, I feel the same way about Popeyes.
Popeyes, really?
I love Popeyes. And then if I can get it, Bojangles. Like, Florida's really the only place I go.
Oh my gosh.
If I can get it, Bojangles, but Popeyes the default. So
you're like comfort food,
yes,
that's all it is. It's comfort food. So to each their own, but I don't know. I don't think Popeyes could beat Chick-fil-A in my book.
Well, it was one of those things. I never grew up eating I didn't get Chick-fil-A until I went to college. Like,
okay.
It was one of those deals where I was living in the dorms and a Chick-fil-A person came around like, hey, free chicken sandwich during finals week. And I was like, oh, okay, I've never had Chick-fil-A, but okay,
Yeah.
And I went and had it, and I was just like, oh, it's a chicken sandwich. Okay.
Well, I felt the same way about In-N-Out for a long time because it was so hyped up that when I finally had it, I was like, wait, this is it? Now I like In-N-Out, but it wasn't something that was like worth the hype. So I could imagine if you constantly, people are like, oh, Chick-fil-A, and then you have it, you're like, what's the big deal? Yeah. I will say though, I feel like they just have good, quick service.
Yeah.
So that's always, a bonus.
Agreed. I will say though, their waffle fries. Nobody can compete with their waffle fries.
Hands down.
Yeah.
Hands down. Wait, what's your order from Popeyes?
It's usually the chicken sandwich. Like mild chicken sandwich with their mayonnaise or whatever their sauce is, and then their seasoned fries and a Coke. That's the order.
Keep it classic.
Yes.
Well, that was fun. That was a fun game. Glad we did the bonus.
Yes. I accidentally moved it forward and I was like, you know what? we're gonna ask this random question. It's gonna take 2 seconds to answer, and then so.
And then we go off on a tangent. It's fine.
Yep, absolutely. But it's been an absolute blast chatting with you. For anybody that wants to check out your music, anything you got going on, where's the best place to find that?
Yep. So at Kellador Music is my Instagram. At Kellador is my TikTok and Twitter. I mean, between those 2 usernames, you should find me on any platform. And then, on Spotify, keep an eye out for Still a Child coming out, and hopefully it heals your soul and your childlike nature. And thank you so much for having me. It was a blast chatting with you as well. And thanks for listening to those who listened.
Yeah, absolutely. Once again, thank you everybody for hanging out with us. Really appreciate it. And then Kel, as a last little parting piece of advice, what's some advice you have for the young musicians out there?
Know your purpose. Figure out what's the point for you, because being an artist is so much more than just, oh, I want people to listen to me. You've got to figure out your why, and that's going to help you get through all of the ups and downs of this type of career. So just know your purpose.
Absolutely. 100%. Know your purpose. Well, Kel, thank you so much for hanging out with us once again. Really appreciate it. It's been an absolute blast. And hopefully we'll have you back on in the future for anything you got coming back on. Just feel free to reach out or have Anna reach out, and we'll definitely get it scheduled. And just a couple of quick side notes for anybody that's tuning in or still hanging out with us. Our podcasts will be every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sundays here on Twitch, and then they will be released the next morning. And then, of course, November 17th, we have our pancreatic cancer fundraiser. It'll be a 24-hour podcasting stream. And so anybody that's interested in checking that out, just kind of stay tuned for details. Live and amplified everywhere, all the socials. I'm doing my best to get all our socials the same. It's not easy, but we'll get there eventually. And then, of course, liveandamplified.net. But once again, Kel, really appreciate you. Thank you so much for hanging out, and we will catch you all later.